Unit 10, volume of prisms and cylinders. So we're going to start with a couple definitions. The first one is volume. Volume is the space that a figure occupies. It is measured in cubic units such as cubic inches, or you can see inches cubed, or cubic centimeters, centimeters cubed. Second definition, a prism is a solid object with two identical ends and flat sides. The shape of the ends gives the name of the prism, such as a triangular prism or a rectangular prism, etc. So it says the shape of the ends gives the name of the prism. So this right here, we're going to label rectangular prism. And you can see here we have triangular prism. And then here you can see this shape has 6 sides. So that's hexagonal prism. So then it says to find the volume of a prism with base area B, notice that's a capital B, and height H is volume equals area of the base times height. So that capital B isn't just the base, it's the area of the base times the height. The volume of a right rectangular prism with length L, width W, and height H is volume equals length times width times height. And the volume of a cube with edge length S is the volume equals S cubed. Moving on to example 1. So it says, what is the volume of the rectangular prism below? So what we're going to do is you always start by writing your equation. So volume equals area of the base times height. So then the volume is going to equal the area of the base. Okay, this is the base here, okay, that rectangle. So the area of a rectangle is this base, lowercase b, times height, and then we're going to multiply that by the height of the rectangular prism. Now again, this is because the capital B is the area of the base. The base is this rectangle, which we're going to find by doing base times height of that rectangle. So when we substitute in the numbers, it's going to be volume equals 24 times 20. So that's your capital B, okay? And then we're going to multiply that by the height of the prism, which is 10. So then when you do that, volume equals, so that's going to be 24 times 20 is 480 times 10. So your final answer is volume equals 4,800 centimeters cubed. Now remember, when you do volume, it's centimeters cubed. When we did area, it would have been centimeters squared. Now we're doing volume, centimeters cubed. All right, so now we're going on to example 2. What is the volume of the triangular prism below? So again, volume equals the area of the base times height. Now it's a triangular prism, so the area of the base is going to be, we need the formula for the area of a triangle. So volume equals 1/2 base times height. That's going to give you the area of the base, and then times the height of the prism. So when you plug in the numbers, you get volume equals We have 1/2. The base of the triangle is 6 right here. See, this is the triangle I'm looking at right there. So the base of the triangle is 6, the height is 10, and then we multiply that by the 5. So we're going to get volume equals 1/2 of 6 is 3. 3 times 10 is 30. And multiply that by 5. So volume equals 150, and that would be meters cubed. Moving on to example 3. Examples 3 and 4 are the tough examples in this lesson. So for example 3, it says, what is the volume of the triangular prism below? Okay, so we're going to start by writing the equation. So volume equals the area of the base times height. Volume equals, it's a triangular prism, area of a triangle, 1/2 base times height, and then we're going to multiply that by the height of the prism. So now when you do this, you're going to have volume equals, this is your triangle right here. So it's 8. The length of this side is 8. This is also 8, and this side is also 8. We know that because this is labeled 8, so this is 8 as well. What we don't have, so we have the 8. What we don't have is the height. So I'm going to draw the triangle over here on the side. That's our triangle. 8, 8, and 8. What we need is this dotted line is our height. So if this is 8, each side of this is 4. Each side of the dotted line is 4 inches. So then what we need to do is we have a 30. This is 30 degrees because they're all 3 are 60 degrees. It's equilateral. So this is 60 degrees. This is 60 degrees. That's 60 degrees. So when you cut this in half, this is 30. This is 60, and that's 90. So you have a 30, 60, 90 triangle here. So when you do that, we know that this would be the long leg is the same as the height. So your long leg equals your short leg times the square root of 3. So the short leg here is the 4. So the long leg is 4 square root of 3. Now your long leg is this dotted line, which is the same as the height of the triangle. So we're going to plug 4 square root of 3 in here. And then the height of the prism is 10. So we'd multiply that whole thing by 10. Okay, so now when you do the math out, you're going to do 1/2 times 8 times 4. So that's going to be 16 square root of 3 times 10. We still have the times 10 there. So volume equals 160. 16 times 10 is 160. Square root of 3, and that would be inches cubed. So that's one answer. And then if you do that, 160 times square root of 3, you get volume is about 277.1 inches cubed. So again, that was tricky because you didn't have the height of the triangle to get the area of the triangle to start. So you had a 30, 60, 90 triangle, and then you had to use the 30, 60, 90 rules. Okay, so example 4. What is the volume of the regular hexagonal prism below? So again, we start with our formula. volume equals area of the base times height. So the area of the hexagon is 1/2 of the apothem times the perimeter. And then you're going to multiply that by the height of the prism. So you're going to have to find the apothem. So in order to do that, if you draw the hexagon on the side, not the best drawing, not terrible. Each one of these degrees is 60. So this is your apothem, remember? So this is 30, that's 60, this is 90. So again, we have a 30, 60, 90. Now from the diagram, you can see that the one side of the hexagon is 6. So if we're dividing it in half, we're going to have 3 here, 3 on each side. And then we're doing the same thing. You have a 30, 60, 90 triangle, so the long leg equals the short leg times the square root of 3. The long leg is your apothem, okay? So the long leg equals the short leg, which is 3 times the square root of 3. So the long leg is the apothem, so that's what we're going to plug in there. So when you're substituting in the numbers, it's going to be volume equals 1/2. The apothem is 3 square root of 3. Now the perimeter, each side is 6. There are 6 sides, so 6 times 6 is 36. Okay, so that's all the area of the base, and then you're going to multiply that by the height of the prism, which is 15. So now when you do that on the calculator, you're going to do 1/2 times 3, which is 1.5 times 36. That'll give you 54 square root of 3. Multiply that by 15. So 15 times 54 is going to be 810 square root of 3. And there's no units here, so we're going to call it units cubed. And that's one answer. And then when you do that on the calculator, 810 times square root of 3, you get about volume is about 1,403.0 units cubed. And when you do that on the calculator, you're going to get 1,402.96, but when you round that up, it should round to 1,403.0. Next page. A cylinder is a solid object with 2 identical flat ends that are circular or elliptical and 1 curved side. So then the equation here is the volume of a cylinder with base area B, radius R, and height H is volume equals area of the base times height, which we know, or you could say the volume equals pi R squared, since that's the area of the circle times the height. So now for example 5, it says, what is the volume of the cylinder below? Write your answer in terms of pi and as a decimal rounded to the nearest tenth, which is 1 decimal place. So again, always start with your equation. Volume equals area of the base times height. The base is a circle, so volume equals pi R squared times height. So that's going to be, your radius is 3, and the height is 8. So 3 squared is 9. Pi times 8, so the volume equals 72 pi centimeters cubed. Don't forget to cube that. And then when you do that out on the calculator, 72 times pi, use the pi button. You should get about 226.2 centimeters cubed. And those are both of your answers. Last example. Example 6. What is the volume of the oblique cylinder below? Write your answer in terms of pi and as a decimal to the nearest tenth. All right, so start with your equation. Volume equals area of the base times height. Volume equals area of the base is pi r squared times the height. So when you do this, just be careful. On this diagram, it gives you the diameter, not the radius. So the radius is half of the diameter. If the diameter is 8, the radius is going to be 4. And then you're multiplying that by the height, which is 16. So when you do that out, you're going to get 16 pi times 16. So volume equals 256, because you do 16 times 16 pi, and that's meters cubed. And when you do that on the calculator, be sure to use the pi button. You get about 804.2 meters cubed. And those are your answers.